Want to study faster in less time and be that top student? Unlock 6 scientifically proven secret ways to study 10 times more faster. Let's begin. Number 6. Test yourself. There is a proven concept to study faster called the testing effect by Roediger and Karpik. So according to this concept, when you test yourself, the brain creates stronger connections in hippocampus, and your hippocampus is responsible for your memory retention. So when you test yourself after every study session, these repeated efforts made by you to recall the information signals your brain that this information is important. So your brain now starts to prioritize that info and sends it to the long-term memory. Once an information reaches your long-term memory, you are able to remember and access it anytime. What you have to do here is, after every study session, you have to test yourself. To be more specific, after studying a topic, close your books and write down everything you remember. The more you are able to recall, the more faster you are able to study, because now you spend less time restudying the same thing. Number 5. Uninterrupted focus. Studies by Cal Newport, MIT-trained computer scientist and the author of Deep Work, reveals that uninterrupted focus is the game-changing secret weapon to fasten your productivity. Now, how exactly do we build uninterrupted focus to study 10 times faster? For this, you have to enter flow state. Flow state is complete absorption in what one does. In order to enter the flow state, you firstly need to get rid of every single distraction around you and allow your brain to fully focus on a task. When you focus on something deeply, the brain enters a flow state. Something incredible happens to your brain in that state. Your prefrontal cortex, part of your brain responsible for planning, decision-making, self-control, starts working much more efficiently in flow state. This means in flow state, you are able to absorb information 10 times more faster and effortlessly. Michael Phelps, the record-breaking fastest swimmer in Olympian history, described how he would enter a zone during his races, and entering this zone of intense focus allowed him to perform at his peak. This guy is one of the fastest swimmers in the world, won 28 gold medals and also set a world record. His state of deep focus or being in flow state allowed him to be very fast, push beyond his limits, and helped him achieve the unthinkable. Number 4. Too much studying hurts your brain. Don't study too much. I know it sounds weird because all of us want to study quickly and finish as much as possible, but here's why you should stop that. Studies show that trying to absorb too much information at once slows down learning. Let me explain why. The cognitive load theory by Sweller explains that the brain has a limited capacity to process information. So overloading your brain causes information overload, which slows down learning. So when you try to feed your brain too much information, your brain begins to struggle to process it. Instead, breaking down tasks into smaller, digestible chunks allows your brain to fully absorb each part. This approach makes your learning 10 times more faster because you can recall what you've learned much more clearly. Since you can recall effectively, you don't have to repeatedly study the same material, allowing you study more faster and move on to the next part more quickly and easily. Number 3. Sleep well. If you're that student who studied whole night only to end up with a C grade, you're probably wondering what went wrong. Trust me when I say this, skipping sleep is the biggest mistake preventing you from studying faster. A phenomenal study by Mackay et al. Showed that during deep sleep, the hippocampus replays information learned during the day. To be more specific, when you sleep, your hippocampus works in the background to strengthen what you've learned. Let me show you how. When you are deeply asleep, the hippocampus transfers important information into long-term memory. Once what you've studied reaches long-term memory, it stays there permanently. You might be thinking skipping sleep will give you more extended time to study. The truth is you are studying harder, but not smarter. Another study conducted by Nature Neuroscience found that participants who had a full night's sleep before learning something was able to remember more information than those who didn't sleep. The secret to studying faster is through good quality sleep. So let your brain work smarter so you can study faster. Number 2. Wrong study method. Sometimes the reason you're stuck isn't you but the way you're studying. Most people waste hours using same old study method that don't actually work. The problem is not the effort, just the method that is wrong. What works for student X might not work for student Y because every brain processes information differently. You might stick to a study method for a long time because it feels familiar. Using the same method repeatedly can cause your brain to go on autopilot, meaning you're not actively processing the material anymore. This not only slows down your study process, but also prevents you from learning faster. Here's how you can break out of this trap. You should experiment all study methods. For example, like active recall, mind mapping, Pomodoro, spaced repetition. Then choose the one which helps you study more faster. A study in Cognitive Science 2016 proved that shifting to new study methods improves retention and helps you study more faster. Studying the same way and expecting better results is like trying to microwave ice cream to keep it cold. That is not going to work. Number 1. Decision fatigue. A groundbreaking 2008 research found that when you overburden your mind with decisions, your focus and speed decreases. This phenomenon is called decision fatigue. Let me explain how decision fatigue can slow your learning. When you leave decisions about what to study, when to study, and how to study to the last minute, then your brain gets stuck in a loop, and this drains your mental energy. You are exhausted before you even begin. Your brain, just like your body, can get tired. Notice how your phone suddenly works faster when you run a factory reset? Similarly, when you pre-plan your study sessions beforehand, you declutter your mind. This helps your brain to entirely focus on the execution. So what you have to do is dedicate 10 minutes each evening, mapping out your study topics, resources, and goals for the next day. Write it down. No more last-minute decisions. Pre-planning your study sessions simplifies the study process, allowing you to laser focus and study 10 times more faster.